Okay, so this is the second class on the Shebu'ot. We were in Perek Aleph. I think we're up to Halacha Het. Does anybody disagree with that, or am I? We finished Shebu'ot Hashav. We did the four types of Shebu'ot.
Yes, we definitely did the four types of Shebu'ot. Right, Shav and Shebu'ot Sheker, right?
Shebu'ot Shav. Right, we did Shebu'ot Sheker, right? Shebu'ot Bitui.
Right.
Right. Four types of Shebu'ot Bitui. Then we did four types of Shebu'ot Shav. And now we're up to Halacha Het. Okay, close the door over there because they're praying. I'm looking for something we want to disturbing now. Okay, Shebu'ot Pikadon Kesar. All right, let me read the halacha. Everybody has a place? Perek Aleph, halacha Het, Hilchot Shebu'ot. Yes? Okay. Shebu'at Pikadon Kesar. Kol mi sheyesh mamon havero beyado. A person is in possession of money that belongs to a third party. Then pikadon, it could be he's in possession of it, or asset. It doesn't have to be actual money. It could be an asset. For example, he gave him something to guard. Said, "Can you watch my cell phone for me?" No. Can you watch this particular camera for me? Right? That's pikadon. Then milva, or maybe he lent him the money, right? So it could be he loaned him money. Or shegezalo, or perhaps Reuven, let's say Reuven is the one in possession of the money or the asset, perhaps Reuven robbed it from someone else. Or ashachot, or for example, he charged him too much money. He sold him a camera that's worth $100 for $100. Well, it was worth $100. He sold it for $200. That'd be all shek, right?
Could it be also if he worked for him and didn't pay?
Oh, right. It also, remember, there's different types of all shek. There's different types of all shek. There's different types of situations. Correct. He has unjust enrichment, right? Or masalo adada. Perhaps you found something that belongs to your friend and you didn't properly declare. So according to halacha, if you find certain types of property, one has an obligation to declare it. Not all types, but certain types, right? And he didn't declare it. He didn't return it. Doesn't matter why. The bottom line is that the Reuven is in possession of property that doesn't belong to him. ותבע ממנו ממון שיש לו בידו וחפר בו. And then the rightful owner of the property requested the property back. He went to Bet Din and he requested it, and the person who was in possession of the property, he was kofer. He denied, no, don't have it. Not incorrect. Factually incorrect. I don't have that property. Right? Harezeh ober belo ta'aseh. So the person who's kofer in the property that he's in possession of, right? That's Yisur de'oraita. Shene'emar lo techachashu ish ba'amito. Where's that pasuk? It's in Perashat Kedosh. And you have the Malei Mekomot there. It's the Vayikra probably, aren't they? Good. Which perek? So that's Perashat Kedoshim. Velo techachashu ish ba'amito. Okay. Zo azhara lichvirat mamon. So this when it says velo techachashu ish ba'amito, what does it mean lo techa? Lechachesh literally means to lie, to deny, right? So this is referring to a person who has mamon of his friend in his possession, but he denies it. The Elokim allows that. There's no malkut for this particular law. The English balo al sheker al mamon shekafar bo al ze ober elav acher. Now here's the point. So there's two separate isurim. One isur is lo techachashu ish ba'amito. So you come to court, and you ask for money. You say that you have my watch. You have my watch. I want my watch back. So Lo hayu devarim me'olam. Never had. There's no such thing as that, right? So that's already made isur deoraita. But then there's a second Isur Deoraita, the English Balo al Sheker, al Mamon Shekafal Bo. But if you also made a Shebu'ot, in addition to being Kofer, there's a Shebu'ot as well. Not all situations you can cause the other person to make a Shebu'ot, but there are situations where you can cause them to make a Shebu'ot, right? Whatever those situations are. The point is that he makes a Shebu'ah, Harezeh Ober Elal Acher. That's the second line there. Al Zeh Ne'emar, Lo Teshakeru Ish Ba'amito. So it says, I think it's the same pasuk. Where is it again? Perikyotet, what pasuk? Yeah, I'm sorry, can you repeat yourself? Perikyotet? Yod-Bet, okay? You were about to say the pasuk, right? Right.
And then right after that,
right. And what's nice about the order, the order actually makes sense.
Right.
Because first, the person, first he's machrish. He's in court and he says, no, I don't own it, I'm not in possession of that which is someone in possession of, or whatever the particular hasha is. And then in addition, he makes a shebu'ah with respect to that. So this is a special isur deoraita with respect to a person who makes a shebu'ah in which he falsely claims that he doesn't have to return property to a third party. Shebu'at Pikadon is different than Shebu'at Bitui. Remember we said Shebu'at Bitui, a person says, I did something, or I didn't do something, or I will do something, or I will not do something, will not eat tomorrow. Person prays for Shebu'at, he's a ta'anit, he's going to be ta'anit. So that would be Shebu'at Bitui, and he has to fulfill the Shebu'at, right? Then the second type of Shebu'at was Shebu'at Shah. We said there's 4 types of Shebu'at Shah, but a person makes a use of Shebu'at. He says, this is a cell phone. I mean, it's clearly a cell phone, so that's called a Shebu'at Shah, right? But this is a different type of Shebu'at. This is in court. Somebody claims that he owes money, and he denies that he owes the money, and then he makes a Shebu'at with respect to his denial. Right? That's called Shebu'at Pikadon. All right? Chavod, why don't you read, let's go around Yamin. Chavod, Isaac, read the next halacha. Ma'u hayav.
Ma'u hayav al Shebu'at Pikadon sheshikir ba. משלם הקרן שכפל בו עם תוספת
חומש. Now, what's important is, so there's no malkut. And why is there no malkut? On the previous 2 Shebu'ot, was there malkut? Yes, right? On the previous 2 Shebu'ot, if a person b'mezid, hezid, for example, he said Shebu'at Bitui, yesterday I didn't eat anything, makes a Shebu'at, and it's not true, then he would be lokeh, right? Right? It's an halacha gimel. Be'im nishba l'shaker b'mezid lokeh. Similarly with Shebu'at Shav, also if a person makes a Shebu'at Shav, he's lokeh. Why is it that in Shebu'at Pikadon there's no malkut? What's the reason? Who knows?
He's Mishalim, right?
Exactly. Correct. Explain that. Explain the law of Enadam Lokel Mishalem.
So if he is found liable, if he's found guilty of sworn falsely, he has to pay money. He has to pay back the Bedanen plus the homage. So we have halacha. I don't know what the source of this halacha is, but in Adam Lokel Mishalem, if somebody is judged to get malkut, he doesn't pay, and vice versa. If he has to pay, he doesn't get malkut.
Exactly. So here, since there's a payment component, because of that, there would be no malkut. You understand why in the other 2 cases there's malkut, and here there's no malkut? Because here, ומהו חייב לשירות הפיקדון ששיקר בה, משלם את הקרן שכפר בו, he has to pay the principal amount which he denied having or owing or being in possession of. Together, in Tosefet HaChomesh, he has to pay 1/5. The only thing is that 1/5 is calculated as part of the total. So, for example, if it was worth $100, he would pay $125 because 25 is 1/5 of 125. You see, it's a little counterintuitive. Normally, like English law, if you say 20% penalty, so if a guy owes $100, he would pay the 20% would be $120. In Jewish law, the 1/5 is calculated from the total amount paid. So it would be $125, because 25 that becomes 1/5 of 125. So that's the Chumash. Umakri Asham Vadai. And on this he has to bring Asham Vadai, because if you look at the end of Parashat Vayikra, that's called Asham Gezelot, right? Look at the end of the book of Vayikra. One second. Right. So first of all, there's two sources for the law. One is in Parashat Naso, right? But then, look at the end of the book of Parashat Vayikra, Perek He. Look at Pasuk. Pasuk. What do you get?
That's this specific Hashem.
Yes, correct. Brother, you're right. You see, that's mamash. That's what I was looking for. That's a situation. There's a chasha in a pikadon. Exactly the situations that Rambam brought. And then if you look at Pasuk Gimel, it says, V'ayaki yachetav de Hashem, ve'shivet ha'gezelah. So that's the keren. You have to return what you owed, whatever the keren is. And then it says, if you look at Pasuk Kaf Daled, V'shlam oto berosho v'hamishitav Yosef alav. You see? That's the hamishit that you mosif. And then it says, V'ashamo yavi l'Adonai, ayin tamim minaso. And then you bring a korban asham. And that's a korban asham. Umakriv asham bada, because there's a type of korban that you bring, korban asham that you bring, that's asham talui, for safek karet. The person, safek, maybe su karet, safek lo asai su karet. This is asham bada, it's a different type of asham, of course. Ben she'aya mezid, ben she'aya shogeg. And the korban asham is not contingent upon whether you intentionally or misintentionally deceived your friend. It could be that you forgot. You got a situation where a person took a loan, he forgot he took a loan, and then he's brought to court and he denies it for having taken the loan. It was a mistake. That's shogeg. That's when the korban asham. Continue reading. I'm sorry, you were reading. It's sumet ya. Oh, because that's a pasukim we just read. Yeah. Right. So why doesn't it say v'ne'elam mimenu? As it says in the previous situation, because there was talking about korban oled. A person forgot that he would, for example, there's a few situations described in this particular end of the Parashat Vayikra. It could that he forgot that he was tameh and he entered the Bet HaMikdash, for example. There it says v'ne'elam mimenu. So there, only if it was b'shogeg, he brings the korban oled, right? Here, it doesn't say v'ne'elam mimenu. So therefore, he's hayav the korban asham with the ne'elam mimenu, shogeg, or lo ne'elam mimenu, mezid. So in all cases, he brings the korban asham. This is called the asham gezelot. Asham gezelot is asham gezelot, asham shechachalufa, right? So this is the famous asham gezelot that you're going to see in the vidui of Yom Kippur. So now you know what the asham gezelot is, right? All right. I'm going to just turn on the AC because it seems that it's on. Can someone go down and let my son in? He's trying to get it. Yes, shalom. Yeah, there's a class. So someone's going down to let you in right now, okay? Okay, there's someone's going to let you in right now. All right. Sorry about that, gentlemen. Let's continue. Actually, no, let's be fair to Isaac and wait for him to do this. Okay, if you have any questions on what we studied now?
So, I guess I don't remember if we may have discussed this last time, but it's interesting that one is hayat melchot on Shebu'ot Shab, even though it's lav she'en bo ma'aseh.
Right, so the Gemara discusses that, yeah. The Gemara discusses that particular aspect.
Do we say malkot or malkut?
I say malkut. But That's what I remember. Could be this is different
It
pronunciation.
might be, I mean, I would say it would probably be, if you just on its own, you would say Malakot,
Right.
the lashes, but you say
Malakot Arba'in.
Arba'in,
Right.
right, that they can.
Right. So you want to sit next to me or you want to sit next to one?
What?
You want to sit next to one of them and share? Okay, fine. So somebody kindly share with Shlomo and we'll continue. Halakha, what halakha are we up to?
Yod?
Yod. Okay, Chavod, Michael.
I think it's one halakha technically.
Oh yeah, it could be. I'm using.
Right.
Yeah, I'm using the old edition. So we have probably slight variations also. So no, I'm not makpid on the. If you have a more accurate reading, read it according to your reading. I'm using this. It's my grandfather's. Alav Shalom, and I like using it. Chavod, Michael.
הוא שיזיד בפיקדון ובממש שמתחייב בו וידע בו בשעת שבועה. שבעים שגה ושכח שיש לו אסור ממון, וכפר נשבע אחר כך ידע, הרי זה אנוס ופטור מכלום.
Interesting. Now, והוא שיזיד בפיקדון או בממון שמתחייב בו וידע בו בשעת שבועה. When do we say that for shogeg, your hayyab, korban, asham, it's only if the shogeg was with respect to the hasha, right? So they asked him and he forgot. But if at the moment, but then at the moment of the shebu'ah, right, he remembered the sha'at shebu'ah. Then he's got chayav korban asham badai. Aval, we continue.
שגה ושכח שיש לו אסור ממון, וכפר ונשבע ואחר כך ידע, הרי זה אנוס ופטור מכלום.
But if at the time, and he made the kefirah, he was kofer, and then he made a shebu'ah, and during the time that he made the kefirah and the shebu'ah, he didn't know, that's nothing. There's no korban hasham in that case. You understand the distinction? If at the time he made the kefirah, he forgot, and then when he had to make the shebu'ah, he remembered, and he made the shebu'ah pikadon, lying, then he's korban hasham badal. Even though at the time of the kefirah, he was shogeg, right? But if both instances he forgot, then there's no korban. You see the point? Continue.
וכן לא ידע שאסור נשארה לשקר על קבלת ממון, הרי זה אנוס ופטור.
Another type of shogeg would be if at the time he made the shebu'ah, he didn't know that there's an isur to make a shebu'ah sheker. That's also shogeg. I mean, on Shabbat. On Shabbat, a person doesn't know that it's haram to light fire on Shabbat. So that's shogeg. That's not mizzi. So here, another example of shogeg would be that, for example, at the time of the kefirah, he forgot. He was kofer, he forgot that he owed the money. Then at the time of the shebu'ah, he remembered. He said, oh, that's been korban hasham, because even though at the time of the kefirah he forgot, at the time of the shebu'ah he remembered. But at the time of the shebu'ah, he didn't know that there's isur de oraita to make a shebu'ah pikadon, to be mahlish b'shbu'ah. And therefore, that would also be patur mikenu. You understand? That would also be patur mikenu, meaning his lack of knowledge regarding the halakha that he has to make, that is forbidden to make a shebu'ah pikadon, that lack of knowledge itself is enough to make him shogeg, and there to be patur mikenu, right? Rather to make him anus and to be patur mikenu, not to make him shogeg, because he said shogeg. Chavod, next person. So let's give a concrete example of shogeg in Shebu'ot Pikadon.
كيفون شنعلم منه إم حيابين عليها قربان إم لا بيدعش هي أسرى بيشو إسلو مامون بيدعش هي أسرى بيشو إسلو مامون زوي شكلتا.
For which it would be Hayav Korban Hashem Bades. Let me explain the situation, right? He forgot Im Hayavim Alei Korban Ila. He knew that it's asur to make Shebu'at Shakat, but he didn't know what the punishment was. But they similar on Shabbat also. If a person makes Hatarat to somebody on Shabbat, He says, it's haram to light a fire on Shabbos. I know, I'm doing it anyway. But he didn't know that the punishment is mitah. It would also not be liable to or subject to death penalty. So here, similarly, ne'elam mimenu, he forgot whether hayavim korban or not hayavim korban. He knew it's forbidden. And he knew that he owes the other guy the money, right? That would be a shogeg, for which he has to bring korban asham badai. That's not considered anus. That's considered shogeg. Again, he knew he has the money. He knows he owes the person the money. He knows it's haram to make a shebu'ot. He just didn't know that the punishment is asham. That's shogeg, and you bring korban asham badai. The uzdona, and what would be considered mezid? And the mezid would be that he did know there's time korban. So in order to be mezid in Shebu'ot, there's very few people in the world that could be mezid in Shebu'ot Pikadon. Guy comes to court, he knows he's lying. Guy makes a Shebu'ot after he lies. He knows it's haram to make a Shebu'ot, but he didn't know that it's Shebu'ot HaPikadon is liable to Hashem Badai. That's considered shogeg. It's still considered shogeg. And mezid would be that he also knew that Shebu'ot HaPikadon is liable for Korban Hashem. Okay. We have one more halakha and we'll do the Yimon. How about Michael? I'm sorry, Elliot. Sorry. Okay, so we did Shebu'ot HaPikadon. Now we're going to do the fourth and final type of Shebu'ot. Shebu'ot ha'edut. Okay.
העדים שידעו עדות ממון ופעם בעל העדות להעידו וחקרו בעדותן ולא העידו נשבעו לו שאינם יודעים לו עדות זוהי הנקראת שבועת העדות.
Okay, so Shebu'ot ha'edut means that you're called to court, somebody needs you to testify about something that you're aware of. For example, you were present during the time that Reuven made a loan to Shimon. Shimon says, no, he never made me a loan. Reuven says, listen, I need your help. Can you come to court? I'd like you to testify on my behalf. And you actually were there. You can testify. You tell the judge, I know nothing. And then the judge forces you to make a shebu'ah that you know nothing. And you make a shebu'ah, the person makes a shebu'ah that he knows nothing. That's called Shebu'ot ha'edut. Continue. Right, and for that there's korban oleh v'yored, chatat oleh v'yored, which means it goes up to a rich person and down to a poor person. Normally there's chatat kevu'ah. Chatat kevu'ah doesn't change. Doesn't matter the person who made the averah. Chatat kevu'ah. We don't care whether he's rich or poor. If he's a kohen gadol, it could be different if he's the sanhedrin, if he's a king. But if a person, not a king, not a kohen gadol, not a sanhedrin, makes an averah b'shogeg sheyesh ba karet, if he did it b'mezid, he has to be chatat kevu'ah. It doesn't depend upon the wealth of the person. It's chatat kevu'ah, right? Now here it depends upon the wealth of the person. So if it's a rich person, it's one korban, and all the way down to the poor person, which is another type of korban. That's korban oleh v'yored. So Shebu'ot ha'edut is one of the cases where you bring korban oleh v'yored.
בין שהיו מזידים, בין שהיו שופטים, שנאמר בנפשתי כחטא ושמע כל עלה, והוא עד, ולא נאמר בהם בני אדם, לחייב על הזרון כשכנה.
But if you look again at that section in the end of Parashat Vayikra, it brings the cases of korban oleh v'yored. One of them is a person who enters the Beit HaMikdash b'tumah, because there it says v'ne'elam mimenu, so it's b'shogeg. Here, if you look at Perek He, Pasuk Aleph, it says v'nefesh ki techeta v'shamea kol ala v'hu ayed, and he actually is an ayed, right? Im lo yagid b'nasa avono. If he doesn't testify b'nasa avono. That's one of the cases of korban. Later on it says that it's korban oleh v'yored, right? Shebu'ot bitu is another case, right? So Shebu'ot ha'edut, tum'ah, a person eats kadashim b'tum'ah or enters a Beit HaMikdash b'tum'ah, korban oleh v'yored. And then the third case is Shebu'ot bitu, meaning Shebu'ot sheker with respect to Shebu'ot bitu. That would be korban oleh v'yored. Okay. Yes. Finish halacha. Okay, do the extra halacha, no problem.
כיצד שבירת שבועת העדות.
Okay, how can you have a shogeg in Shebu'ot ha'edut? We did shogeg in Shebu'ot ha'pikadon. How do you have shogeg in Shebu'ot ha'edut?
כיוון שנעלם ממנו שחייבים עליה קורבן, וידע ששבועה זו אסורה ושהיא שקר.
So again, the person comes to the court. He knows, he saw, he has testimony, but he refuses to testify. The judge tells him, do you have anything to testify? No, I have nothing to testify. Make a shebu'ah. He knows he's lying, right? And he knows that it's haram to make a shebu'ah that you're lying about his testimony. He just didn't know that it's qurban oleh ve'oleh, right?
وزدونها شيدا شخيبين عليها قربان.
But and the zadon would be that he also knew that he's hayat qurban. It's very interesting. It's very interesting how the Torah, the state of mind that a person has to have as a Jew. That's very interesting. Meaning a person who's like the Atonot Bil'am is not hayat. It's hard to make him culpable. You know, Bidei Shamayim, Hashem has whatever Cheshbon Hashem has. That's, not my focus now. But to make a person culpable in court, you have to have a certain minimum amount of, intelligence, consciousness, Very few people have the type of consciousness that, meaning it's a little embarrassing if you think about it. Just think about it, you think, oh, this is a good thing. It's not a good thing. It's humiliating that there's very few people who have the level of consciousness that they can even be hayabim in these situations. That's like, for what it's worth, just some food for thought, perhaps related to the money, I don't know, but something to think about. Did we finish the halacha?
A couple more lines. אבל אם לא ידע שהיא אסורה, או ששכחו העדות ונשכחו, ואחר כך נודע להן שהן יודעים לו עדות.
Okay, but let's say a situation, he didn't know it's haram to make a Shabbat shaket. That's not even shogeg. It's the person like an atom or a hamor, I don't know. You can't get angry at a hamor for, not testifying. Or sheshachichu adut, he forgot. Also, it's a type of, ונשבעו, he made a Shabbat. Continue.
ושנשבעו על שקר, הרי אלו הנושאים ופורי אף מן הקורבן.
Anus. That's right. So it's just I consider it remarkable. Press the record button to stop it, and then we're going to start in a minute.